Hey, what's up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com, and in today's video, I've got another episode for my Scrapebox and web scraping tutorials. I'm going to be going through a minor case study to demonstrate connect timeout variations and how that's can be more important than one might realize. So let's hop over to one of my servers and I can show you what I found about this earlier today. So on this server, let me see here. Let's remove this this right here. So over here on my second instance, I always have two instances open, and my second instance is for metadata handling terms if I don't want them to be automatically scrubbed in this section. And it's easier to do that because sometimes I can accidentally forget to turn off the auto remove or turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. So I just have it always turned on here and never turned on over here. And so it's just like a different environment um, for different things. But mostly for data handling. So I had a bit of a sample here I was trying to handle um, for, let's see, this was for Facebook ads and Google ads agencies list that I crunched down into the most ideal chunk. And I was at the very last phase of these kinds of files. I will go and I'll grab check for metadata. And this was where I was noticing a larger number of errors than there should have been. Oftentimes in this phase, it's pretty pristine because even though various sites can block certain types of proxies and other phases of a process, pretty much nobody blocks metadata scraping. Like you can access most sites for the purpose of grabbing metadata. So I'm not exactly sure how Scrapebox is configured so that sites see that, or why it is that it's that much easier compared to other things. It could just be that since they're not, it's certainly, I don't, somehow they've configured it in Scrapebox so that it doesn't try to grab like a whole page, because then that's where I think that things can be rejected in some level of quantity based on the types of proxies you're using. You're using data center proxies in this case, so you can access most sites on average, but then higher level sites will be more critical depending on how many queries there are in some period of time. But anyways, point being, metadata seems to be a lot easier to get than other things for a variety of unknown-ish reasons. And so when I started seeing errors, it was very unusual. And the last month or so, I've had some issues with my internet connecting. Like it takes a while to connect for some reason. And then we just had an upgrade here. And so now I'm getting like a gigabyte down. It's like coaxial connection, gigabyte down, 200 megabytes up. But I still have connection issues. So I need to contact my ISP. But in any case, it did allow me to see something interesting, that there is a too much time on that connection side of things. And so because this is a relatively small sample, that gave me an opportunity to test it 3 different times with different settings and to observe that there were indeed some significant differences. So when you come over to settings here, go to connect timeouts and other settings. And under timeouts, I've talked about this in the setup phase. These should always be set to about 30, and if they're not, then you will miss out on data because certain websites take longer to connect to. In particular, it's not necessarily the actual once you're there pulling the data; it's the just connecting to the site. So this is by default through Scrapebox at 10. So if we click OK here, let's run this and I'll show you the errors. So let's click start. Now some add-ons will have the settings for the add-on right then and there. So you need to change the, for example, in just the video a moment ago, we were looking at the page scanner in the last video. And so in the page scanner under settings, you'll see these types of things. And if it were me, I'd do, I don't do page scanner in the data handling module, but I do something like this. And this is way too low of a connect. You'd want to set it to at least 30 or 15 or 30. And then the read timeout, excuse me. So once it's connected, also about 30. So it'd take about a minute per proxy connection. And then skip processing of pages when size is equal or more than 5 megabytes. I think I said like 500 or something by accident in the last video, but it's 5 megabytes, which is 5,000 kilobytes. So that can vary. You could put 0, but you never know when you come across a difficult page. It's like locking up a proxy. So that's kind of what I do, but it could be more, it could be less. Something to test. So that's what I do for those independent modules. Now, since this module is a part of the typical front end thing here, you'll have to go into the settings and actually change the timeout for those general regions. So under the 10, let's try this under grab meta and hit the go button. And I'll go ahead and skip ahead, excuse me, so that you can see how difficult it's being. You can see some of these are pending, and you see, look at that failed read timeout. And it's weird how it works, because once you shoot it up to 30, they'll appear like instantly, even though 10 seconds haven't passed. So it's kind of weird. See these errors, 700, 800, and it's just going up and up and up and up because the connect time is too low. I actually won't even let this process fully, because look at how high it is by comparison. That's just too significant. So we'll go ahead and stop this. Excuse me. And change it to 30 once the active threads drop down. So under under settings, we'll go back to connections, timeouts, move it up to 30, click OK, and run that again. And so by then, I think it processed close to 3,000 with about 1,000 errors. So let's watch it again. You see how they appear instantly? It's really strange. And even obviously 30 seconds haven't passed. 30 seconds haven't passed. 30 seconds has not passed. 30 seconds have not passed. Yeah, haven't. 30 seconds haven't passed. And look at this. Now we're at 3,000 and it's only got 80 some odd errors. So that's a much, much better ratio. So let's go ahead and stop that one. And we'll try higher timeout, maybe 60 seconds or something like that. Excuse me. I'm pretty tired right now. Let's go back to settings, connections, timeouts. Let's move this meta grabber up to, 60 seconds, just out of curiosity. Okay. So we were about 3,000 and about 80 errors, right? So let's see if there's any improvement. Meta, start. There's one. So that's about 60 there. So it might be better. It's hard to tell because I'm not sure exactly where I was previously. Excuse me. It's kind of similar, I think, is it may be a little bit less than before, but I mean, there doesn't seem to be any kind of time lapse. Of course, it'd be hard to tell. We'd have to let it run to the end. And at the end, there's always uh, proxy hangups, where it kind of got stuck, thread locks. And so it would be interesting to see here. This is almost finished, actually. So just about the whole sample processed, and the errors could be just not because of the actual settings, but just because of of issues with the website. So full sample process, and there's about 450 some odd errors. Okay, so let's go back and let's tinker with it a little bit. Let's maybe even go higher and see if that helps. Let's try that. Grab meta, start. And let me skip ahead on this one since you don't need to be watching this over and over. So this one, 120 timeout and 435. So pretty close, 450-ish region. Let's do it again. So let's go back to 30 and let this run to finish. So 30. We know for sure that, let me check that again. We know for sure that it needed to be increased from 10. So let's run it at 30 fully. And let's skip ahead to see the final result. Okay, so this one was exactly 435 also. So that's pretty cool. Clearly, about 30 seconds is a good place. I'm sure if you really wanted to be meticulous, you could break it down further, but I don't think there's well, let's do it. Why not? One more time. Because I had my independent settings at like 15 for a while, and the default is 10. Be curious to see what the difference is. So let's skip ahead until this one's finished. Well, that's odd. Number of errors is lower. 486. Very strange indeed. 486. So, or 386. Sorry, 386, not 486. Well, that's strange. I'm not sure what to think about that. Let's skip ahead and run it one more time under. We know for sure 10 is going to have a bunch of errors. Let's jump back up to 30. We shouldn't be getting less errors with a lower connect time. Let's try this one more time and skip ahead. So that time we've got 369, so that's even lower. So maybe it's my ISP that's causing that range because of the issues with the connection. So in any case, for sure the lower connect time at 10 was causing issues, and after that it kind of seemed to be pretty similar. So I guess you kind of got to figure out how your connection is working in the moment, if it's able to connect with any at a certain speed through those proxies. Either do some tests or make some guesses. But let's do this one last time and skip ahead at 10 and just see how it does. Okay, so in this case, we've got 525 errors, which is much lower than it was before when we ran it at first. Probably something to do with my connection for some reason improving as I started to run these over and over. So definitely, watch your numbers. Probably safe to put your timeouts at roughly 30 on both the connect and the read. But that's pretty much it. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you got some value from the video. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.